Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one! Another one!
Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor.
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and
He hit it.
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from high atop the 18th fairway from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by our good friends from Andy Moore Honda, powered by the best number one Honda dealer around. And, of course, Endeavor Hospitality and the Wow Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store, Google Play Store, sign up for the Wow Club today. Start earning Wow rewards for the great places in parts in the Endeavor Network, like Southern Stone Restaurant, where we were last night for the Tom Allen Show with Don Fisher. Also Feast Market. Several places that we'll mention throughout the show, and especially BB's Market, where I cannot wait to go each and every Friday, because it is just a fun event. I've had several people come up to me and say, hey, man, I can't wait to come out. So looking forward to having any and everyone that willing to come out. So come on out and have fun. Looking forward to today. Kyler Staley is going to join us. We'll talk about some IU basketball recruiting. Chris will be with us. Chris Dinari, of course, from the Indiana Pacers. DJ will join us as well. So we've got plenty to get to. How are you guys doing? Larry already jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline, saying hello. The President's Cup is underway. Talked a little bit about yesterday about UK's phantom workers. The LIV, the President's Cup is underway, and I think the USA should be at a distinct advantage because of it's being run by the PGA, and the international guys have lost more big-time players, it seems, than the PGA has. Kansas City, the Royals fire their GM. He was the GM, the architect of their 2015 World Series title. All that doesn't matter now, as I think this is the 5th or 6th straight losing season for Kansas City. And what does that mean? Eliminated? Yeah, they are eliminated from playoff contention. Yeah, I would say they are currently 22 games back of Cleveland. Not that matters, because you look over in the National League, and I've talked about this a lot, the West, the San Diego Padres are 20 games back of the Dodgers, but the Padres have won 83 games. That is going to be good enough to get them into the playoffs right now in front of the Phillies. So let's see. Where is everybody? The Yankees still with a 6.5 game lead. Cleveland still with a 6-game lead. The White Sox are going to fade. I think that is over. The Astros easily into the playoffs. The Mets and the Braves still battling. The Braves 1 game back right now. St. Louis, they're going to looks like coast into the playoffs. Everyone except Milwaukee in the Central Division has been eliminated from playoff contention. The Cubs, the Reds, the Pirates eliminated. Ironically, in the West, only one team has been eliminated. The Rockies, who were 39 games back. But the Diamondbacks, who were 33.5, the San Francisco, who's 31, they're not eliminated yet. Crazy. Hey, Larry. Hey, John C. jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline as well. You can do so too. Listen to us on or watch us on Facebook. If you can't grab us on radio, wherever you are. Hello to everybody down in Evansville on the Ref and Marengo on WBRO. And everybody out in Facebook land, make sure you subscribe if you are watching or listening on Facebook. And do me a favor, give me a follow on Twitter. It is going to be a nice day today. And it was not that yesterday, John. It was hotter than Hades. I tried to avoid all going out at all cost. And then when I finally had to go outside, I was maybe outside for 4 minutes and my body was just sweating. It was crazy. That was hot, and I'm glad we don't have to deal with that anymore for this year, as today's the first day of fall. Is that right?
That's right. The first day of fall, and already looking ahead the next 6 or 7 days, I am super excited because it's not going to get out of the 70s at all over the next week, which is perfect. The perfect start to fall.
Yeah, I looking down through the forecast as well. Are you kidding me? High today, 70. That's just mind-boggling.
Is amazing.
Tonight,
it's very poetic, if you might say.
46. That's a 50-degree swing from yesterday, as I mentioned. But yeah, 70s. That's, I shouldn't say 70s. Monday, Tuesday, 70s, Wednesday, 68. It's just, hello. I mean, literally, we go from one of the hottest days to absolute beautiful, perfect weather. So I guess you take that punch in the gut and then you just enjoy the rest that's coming.
You leave that 90-degree stuff where it belongs, right in the middle of summer, and that's over with.
Tannis already jumping on. Jesse James. No, I'm just kidding. It's Jesse W. Robert, he just turned off the air.
Turned off his AC on the first day of fall.
Well, you can. I mean, what's today's high going to be? 70?
You said 70.
Yeah. I mean, why would you not? Hell, I keep it at 73, 72, 73. So why would you not? You'll have to shut the doors tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. AC. Bye-bye. So, Five Left's already on as well. How's everybody doing? Hope off to a good start. Let's see. Today is also IU basketball's media day. So I will be out there today meeting with as many players as possible. Trace Jackson, Davis, and Race are going to, I think, appear on the podium, as will Mike Woodson. I won't have one-on-ones with them because we will do that at Big Ten Media Days, which is coming up, about a month from now.
Where it might be snowing in Minneapolis.
No, not a month from now, less than that, about 3 weeks. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
And we talked about this yesterday with Rick. Why is the Big Ten having media days in Minneapolis and the Big Ten tournament in Chicago? Is it going to be vice versa next year? Is it going to be media days in Chicago and the tournament in Minneapolis?
I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I don't know why they were having anything in Minneapolis, period. That's where the conversation ends for me. I don't care about Chicago. Chicago's where the Big Ten is located. I get that. But it drives me insane. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. It makes no sense. Robert's going to leave it off all day. Yeah, it's done. Larry down in South Carolina, though.
South Georgia.
That's where you. South Georgia, rather. 93. Yeah, it's still warm down there. Still warm down there.
I'm sure our friend Dustin Schutte is enjoying the heat wherever he is at today on assignment.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, we've covered the baseball. So unless you're a Mets and a Braves fan, that's the only real race that's going right now. So how many
Kevin
more games?
Brockway shaking in his boots.
Hey, wait a minute. We're almost done. There's 100 and what do you got? Like 3 games left to the season.
I mean, is that time of year? We're very close to October playoff season.
No. The Mets have played 121 games. So we've got it's 100. Is it 152 or 62? I'm drawing a blank.
100 and way too many. That's what I always say.
Well, I'm just trying to. Well, Brian heading to the Ugly Grouper Saturday from Orleans. Are you kidding me?
Well, you've got the hat on right now.
I'm telling you. Well, when you get down there, Brian, tell him you heard it on the show. Ask for Thad and tell him you heard it on the show, and I'm sure he'll give you a nice appetizer or something good to enjoy. But thanks for heading down there. Are you from Orleans? You're kidding me. Man, I hope you're not driving from Orleans. That'd be a nice little drive. But that's very cool. I wish I was going with you. I got to be honest. 5 Left says I need to purify myself in Lake Minnetonka. Whoo! That sure wake me up, I bet. North Pole. Yeah, whenever I have to do the show up there, I need to find someone in a Santa Claus outfit to be my co-host. Maybe you can get Dustin to go up there and wear a Santa Claus suit.
You can't get Dustin north of the Georgia border.
Yeah, I've noticed that. He's letting us down.
He does say he will make a trip up to Indiana for, I think it's the Michigan game for homecoming.
Yeah, we've talked about that. We got Indiana and Cincinnati this weekend. Also, the Rivals 150 rankings are out. And if you can go to thehoosier.com, you can check out where the Indiana targets are in that and much more. Alec Lasley has that covered. People like Liam McNeely, Asa Newell, Derrick Queen, Jaden Mustaf, Raleigh Burgess, Caleb Williams, Flory Badunga. There's just a ton of names. Dylan Harper, Yves Missy, Dink Pate, Tyler Betsy, Jesse McCullough does not have a photo. Nasir Cunningham. John L. Boogie Fland. He's the only one that's got a nickname up there. You got a James Brown. Man, that's a lot of offers. All the way down to 112. Is that the lowest I've seen? Yeah. 112 was the lowest number that I saw. It starts at 2. Flory Badunga, the Kokomo, Indiana. He's a phenomenon, man. 162 games. There you go. I knew why it would come up there. I knew I was close. 12 games left. Cardinals have 12 games left. So, yeah, it's coming down. The series to watch, though, was going to be not series, but the what's going to happen with Kevin Brockway's Mets and the Braves. Either one, they're both in the playoffs already. They've secured a playoff bid. It's just who wins the division is all. So there's that. I don't have a team in the fight. I wish I did. We've got to take a break. We got lots more coming up. Kyler Staley is going to join us. Chris Dinari's on today. DJ joins us. Get you ready for Indiana and Cincinnati as well. We're brought to you by our good friends from Andy Moore Honda and BB's Market, where you know they are your local meat store, supplier, anything you need with some of the greatest custom meats around. You can go to visitbbsmarket.com for online ordering. They have all kinds of products there. That daggone tailgater mustard, beer mustard, is incredible. You can use that on anything, and it turns it in. It just turns it into a party. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting
Excuse me. I wish I could take another week off from my other job. It has been busy. Pete Clausen says 43 in MSP right now. High of 62. Speaking my language, Pete. Not Jim's language. He is most certainly not looking forward to his trip to Minneapolis for Big Ten Media Days. So you can hear him screaming something in the background. He ain't lying. I'm sure I've heard it from something. I don't know off the top of my head. I got your Talladega Nights reference earlier. Jim, you ought to buy some last-minute tickets to Red Hot Chili Peppers this weekend in Louisville.
Oh, man. I want to.
No, I had to pay for mine. "30 seconds. Doesn't look like we're going to get a visit from Matt Taylor today, but that is to be expected based on what we heard this morning. So,
Yeah.
right.
Man, I'm drinking coffee. Looks like somebody put pepper in my coffee.
We should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. Took me a second. Remember what day it was. Welcome aboard. We appreciate you. Everybody coming back. Brought to you by our good friends from Southern Stone Restaurant, where I was last night, like I mentioned. And you can be every Wednesday. Inside Indiana Football comes to you 7:05 every Wednesday at Southern Stone, located at Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. Don Fisher hosting with Tom Allen along. And I'm telling you, I just never paid attention all the times I've been in there, but the food is incredible. That I did not miss. The pricing is what's blowing my mind. I started paying attention. I'm like, this stuff's all 15 or 16 bucks, which I'm talking entrees, baby. Nice, good, custom, fresh made every time. It's a nice restaurant with inexpensive pricing. It's a little surprising. So you're missing out if you're not going by. Kyler Staley going to join us a little later. We'll talk about, get you caught up on Indiana basketball recruiting, what's going on. We've got visits coming up. Indiana football on the road this weekend, of course, at Cincinnati. I haven't even checked that. I doubt the spread moves anymore. I'm going to have to get this air conditioning adjusted too. Boy, you know, it stinks when you don't adjust it and it's 5 degrees colder than it is outside. Let's see. Where are those Indiana Hoosiers? There they are. Gone up to 17. John Boy. Wow. That's what does anybody remember what the line was last year?
I
No,
believe
it probably
was,
would have been.
I think it was Cincinnati by 3, if I'm not mistaken. It was a very, I mean, it was expected to be a good game last year based on how each team had done in the previous season. And obviously Cincinnati went on to win enough to get into the college football playoff. But what I don't understand is that you don't have Desmond Ridder back, who is a Heisman quarterback. You're missing at least 2 good wide receivers. One of them who plays for the Colts now.
Have you not looked at that doesn't matter.
Well, I understand, but you build up depth. But you're when you're replacing somebody of that high caliber, and I know you're playing on the road, it just seems
they
like
have 85. Just so
you
know, they have 85% of their players back from that team.
And I guess it doesn't matter what positions they are. When you bring back 85%, that's a good chunk.
Especially when the quarterback has been replaced and is playing almost as well. So
and it's always like we would definitely, if we were further into the season, we would know how good each of these teams are. But we're basing our predictions.
4 games. This is going to be the 4th game. Of course, they're not playing anybody. That's not playing. Well, Indiana played Illinois, so you can't say that. And they played a decent Western Kentucky team.
And Cincinnati played Arkansas, but Arkansas almost lost to FCS Missouri State this past weekend. Which, fun fact, Bobby Petrino coaches that team.
Before I forget, we'll get back to that. Jennifer says, happy 71st birthday to her dad, JB. Hopefully some of his Evansville friends are listening on the ref. So if anybody is a friend of JB Land down there in Evansville listening on the ref, make sure you tell him happy birthday, as we are telling him right now. Happy birthday, JB. Now, get back to what were you saying?
I totally lost my train of thought.
You're on this tangent, football. Anyway, for Indiana, the tackling has been a major issue. And
I was talking about Bobby Petrino. They almost lost to Bobby Petrino's coach team, which is Missouri State, this past weekend, which I guess that game you would expect it to be closer than it should be based on the fact that it is Bobby Petrino going back to Arkansas. We all know what happened there. And they almost came away with it at Arkansas. So we all know how good the Arkansas team that Cincinnati beat was. So
no, not yet. But in Cincinnati would have beaten Arkansas had they not beaten themselves.
Oh, that's right. They didn't beat Arkansas. For some reason, I thought they beat Arkansas.
They lost to Arkansas. And they lost to them, though, because they beat themselves. I watched them just get penalty after penalty. I watched them get 4 penalties in a red zone drive. Jesse says Jim has pepper in his coffee. You ain't lying. I'll show you. See all that? It ain't pepper. It's the daggone coffee grounds.
Were you at the bottom of the barrel of your
I use a Keurig deal, but not the ones you just drop in. I have the filter where you just actually pour the coffee in it. And the lid wasn't shut, and I was in a hurry trying to get back. Boom, I was like, oh man, it's going to be great. Not only is that going to be in this cup, it will be in the next 10 cups that come through there. So it's like drinking would you like some fresh pepper in your coffee, sir? Yeah. So
I actually think Chronic hit it on the head too. Before we get off this topic, I think whoever wins the turnover battle in this game will ultimately win the game as well.
Well, yes, if there is a turnover battle, but
that's true.
You
never know.
Both of these teams have shown to be second half teams. That's who Indiana gave themselves a chance last year because they jumped out. They had a lead. They were handling Cincinnati, and then the targeting call came and changed a lot. But Cincinnati is still a second half team. They were all of last year. They already have been this year. So has Indiana. It's going to be a little interesting, but Indiana has been not inexistent in the first half. But Their tackling is going to you just can't do that. You cannot give up runs of 59 yards. You can't hold a team to 33 yards in the first half and then give up 133 in the second half on the ground. You just can't. So I'm still torn. I'm torn on this game. I mean, it's going to take me right up until the time on this spread, and that's just whether Indiana's going to cover the spread or not.
Yeah.
I think it's too high, but Vegas is just good. I try to take the emotions out of it.
Well, so far, Indiana has covered. What did they? No, last week they didn't cover against Western because they were favored by 6.5. Idaho, it was around 24-25. They won by 13.
So they haven't covered yet.
And then Illinois, no, they covered Illinois because they were favored by 3. Or might have even shifted toward Illinois before the game kicked off. So, but they're not. I mean, it's not like they've beaten the spread in any of their 3 games, though. So it's almost justified in a way.
Yeah, we'll find out. They'll play the games. That's why they do it. That's why they do it. Yeah, Pete, I heard you mention him earlier. Morning, Pete's jumping on. He's getting, golly. I'm just not looking forward. I am looking forward to seeing Pete, good friend from college, who met in Kit Klingelhofer's sports information director's class that we took way back when. I'm looking forward to spending well, I won't get to see Minneapolis. That's the funny thing. You go to these places, we don't see jack. It's like you get there, you got a deal to do, you're inside all day. If you're staying overnight, you'll get to have dinner. Next day, you're inside. A lot of times you're flying out again, boom. Which is the case with this. Las Vegas, I'm going to do it a little different because the National Finals Rodeo is going on at the same time. Well, it ends its 10-day run on the Saturday that Indiana plays. And I used to, I keep breaking that pen. I used to have an affiliation there. I would actually work in the National Finals Rodeo media department. Former used to rope in the PRCA, but looking forward to going out and spending a couple of days out there. The NFR, it usually draws some big stars as well, but it's at the Thomas and Mack Center, which is where UNLV plays, which is why this game is not being played at UNLV. The NFR goes on for 10 days there and sells out for 10 straight nights there. This game is being held at the MGA Grand Garden Casino, where UNLV is playing on the undercard, which is funny. So there's that. Caleb on the Andy Moore Honda hotline says the struggle against Idaho and WKU, that is what you get exactly. Robert says they struggled against Illinois as well. Yeah, it's a first game. I don't know that I'd call that struggling. A first game playing against a team that's already played a game, and not only a team, but a conference opponent that had already had a game under their belt. So, but it's been a lot of the same similarities. It's been kind of the same thing. We're the running game, I guess it's been an improvement, but we'll see. We'll see. Robert says, sadly, they play badly and get down 10, 14 points on the road. Going to be a long day. Yes, it would be if that were happen. Tanis, half 11, says Indiana has their version of Rudy and Caleb Murphy. Cincinnati and their second half team mantra goes down this weekend. Well, there you go. And it's not impossible. Hey, if Indiana if Indiana is able to pull this game out, and I'm not saying that they can't, that's going to depend mainly on their defense. I don't expect the offense to do much different than they have done. I think that they need to score more before the end of the game, obviously. But this defense has to get just a little bit better. They have to put pressure on the quarterback. If you're going to let this guy sit back there and throw the ball all day, Indiana's going to be screwed. That's the problem. They did not get pressure on the quarterback last week. And you have to get this guy, especially this offense. If Indiana cannot get to the quarterback, it is going to be a long day for them. You can't leave the quarterbacks out there on an island all day and think it's going to be fun. It's not. This is a good offense. So we'll find out. They've got to get the tackling in order, as I mentioned. Man, I need to pull up those stats, but it was unbelievable what Indiana gave up in the second half, especially after how well they had done in the first half. Well, this is the team stats. That doesn't help me. I thought it would pull up the individual one, but it did not. But yeah, 33 yards in the first half, and they switched, but they've got to do their own thing as well, and they've got to start running the ball. I think Indiana ranks 121st in rushing offense at 100 yards per game, and that was greatly helped by last week, I would say. Team passing efficiency, they rank 5th. Not bad, but it needs to be better. Scoring offense, number 2. This cannot be in the Big Ten. That's Western Kentucky. They're doing the team stats instead. Oh, well, NCAA. Didn't get any help. But it's the wrong damn season on top of that. But it's a great opportunity for Indiana too. If they can get a win over Cincinnati, my goodness, you go to Nebraska with a boatload of confidence into a place that under normal circumstances would be very, very daunting. But Indiana has gone into this environment in a more daunting, when it was much more daunting in 2019, came out of there with a big win. If they could get a win over Cincinnati and go to Nebraska, they have a chance to go 5-0. That would be absolutely nuts, because I would have bet you whatever that had no chance of happening. So we've got to take a break. When we come back, Kyler Staley from thehoosier.com is going to join us. We're going to talk some basketball recruiting, get you caught up. I know there's been movement in the Rivals 150. We've got visits coming up, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Goteen, which is also a part of the WOW Club. Goteen is a delicious, healthier snack that helps you keep going. And they're offering the Hoosier Pack, 16-count pack of Goteen of any of your favorite flavors, only $15. And if to sweeten the deal, if you mention Coil 10, you get 10% off of that. So there you go. That even cuts it down even more. But these things are delicious. All kinds of different flavors. I saw s'mores. I can't even remember all the different flavors. So many to go. But GoteenBites.com is where you can go get that. GOTEIN Bites.com. GoteenBites.com. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Kyler Staley right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out.
What's up?
What up?
I'm Googling Goteen Bites.
He ain't lying.
I'm a big protein guy, but I gotta do some research on these. I'm interested.
Oh, dude, they are freaking delicious. I'll tell you that.
See, my thing is I'm highly allergic to nuts, so I have to be careful with like protein bars and stuff.
Yeah, no, they have all kinds of different ones, but you could probably, I guarantee you, they have a nut-free one. And if they didn't, that would be a great thing to I could get introduced. I can promise you that. But
yeah,
that's but
big.
You know what? I will find out real quick.
Big.
Go team. I love the name too. I don't know why. I just like the name.
It rolls
funny.
off the tongue.
It's great.
And I was listening earlier. I'm with you on IU covering. I don't know what to do yet.
You're with me?
Do what?
Me.
You're with me? Did I say that or did Jim say that? I can't
remember. Whoever said about they were back and forth
me.
with if IU's
me.
Cover.
It's me.
Yeah. I'm struggling with that myself.
Like, it just makes sense that they should play well, but maybe Vegas knows something that we don't. I don't know.
Vegas always knows. Vegas is never wrong.
I'm curious what their accuracy rating is right now for this college football season, the first 3 weeks.
I don't know. I wonder if you can look that up or not.
That's a good question. That seems like a very specific thing to ask. I don't see anything.
Very specific thing to ask those sharks.
Yeah, right now I'm not confident that they win, but I think they should cover for sure. That's where I'm at in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
They even have vegan. They even have vegan ones. So
vegan. You gotta have a nut-free one then, right?
I don't know that there's nuts in any of them.
10 seconds.
Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you from high atop the 18th fairway at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Brought to you by our good friends from Remax Realty in Indianapolis. If you're in the home in that area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. She's ready to go to work for you. Staley joining us from thehoosier.com. And if you don't have a subscription there, you really should to make sure you stay caught up on all the happenings of news and recruiting information for Indiana. Just go there, as I'm sure they usually have specials up all the time at thehoosier.com. Staley, how's it going?
Going great, man. You know, it's IU basketball media day, so getting geared up for that. It's going to be a good time, but it's going right now.
We were talking in the break. You're asking about the goatine bites. Great question because you nut allergy, and some of them do have nuts in them, but I look through some that don't. So yeah, you have to be. I'm looking for the ones that. There you go. Tree nuts. How about tree nuts?
Yep.
You allergic?
I'm allergic to all types.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder. I didn't hear that was not a thing when I was a kid. And it exploded though. The nut allergy thing.
Yeah, it's
like soy.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? That was not or lactose free stuff. That was not a thing when I was growing up. I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me because, there's nuts and literally everything. I struggle with like Chinese food and things like that. So I always got to be extremely cautious with that. But it's a very annoying allergy. I will say that.
I would imagine, would it make your eyes swell up?
Oh yeah, it's bad. It's like EpiPen bad. I gotta, stab that into my thigh, get that adrenaline going and stuff like that. So it's not fun. I'll tell you that. I try to avoid it the best I can.
That reminds me of Horrible Bosses.
Oh yeah. That's a good reference.
Oh man, put it into shampoo, I think. Indiana basketball update. I saw the Rivals. Alec put out a piece yesterday on getting everyone caught up on the IU targets, where they are in the Rivals 150, which there were many on that list. I have to get back to that thing where I've got to get too many open, but a lot of shaking going on. But what's the latest happenings in Indiana basketball?
So, yesterday, probably the guy that's ranked the highest easily in the 2024 class with these updated Rivals rankings was Flory Badunga. Yep. And then all four of the coaches, Mike Woodson, Kenya Hunter, Yasir Roseman, and Brian Walsh, were in Kokomo last night to see Flory. So they went in 4 deep. Usually when they do that, that means that, they've got their eyes set. You are a premier target for them. I'm not for sure if there was any other coaches from different colleges that were there yesterday, but Travis Graff from Rivals, our national recruiting analyst, was also there in attendance, and he mentioned that that Flory just looks like he's added weight. He's added muscle. He looked a lot better. His ball handling looks improved, even though it was actually, for his size over the summer, it looked really good. So, they're locked in on him now. They sent an offer weeks ago, and, he's going to be a premier target for that 2024 class. Right now, he's probably in that second tier right now, but we'll see if he jumps into that first tier or not.
When you say that second tier, what does that mean?
So if you look at it, Alec did a good job of breaking it down. Indiana's got their premier targets. They've got the 3 guys, and, if you actually look at it, all 3 of them are from Montverde Academy: Liam McNeely, Asa Newell, and Derrick Queen. Those are guys that they've kind of stuck with, for a long time, since the spring. Flory recently has just became a target for them, but, with his talent, in state and everything, with them, just now jumping on him, he's in that second tier. And obviously there's a third tier. There's, notable guys that they have interest in and things like that. So, that's just something to look out for. If they're in that first tier, that means, Indiana's all locked in on them like they are with the Montverde guys.
I'm trying to count real quick. 16. I see 16 listed, and as Alec, that's just in the third tier.
Yeah.
Now Alec has Flory in the third tier, which
yeah,
I would find that shocking that anybody would put Flory Badunga in the third tier. I know what you mentioned about these other guys, but Flory Badunga is going to be a guy that I think whoever gets him, he's going to end up being a centerpiece. And I think that it would be a mistake for Indiana not to make him a priority for 2 reasons. Number one, even though he's not an Indiana kid, he's going to high school in Indiana, and they have not done much with that. I know we've got Jalen Harrelson and Trent Sisley in that 25 class, and some other guys, but that's still down the road. He's just going to be a hell of a talent, and I think if they certainly don't want to play against him, that's for sure. I think he's going to be hell on wheels when he gets to college.
Right. And he just went on a visit to Purdue and Butler. So, those are 2 in-state schools right there where he's taking visits. So it's not obviously I think he's going to get on campus for a visit. It'd be crazy not to have him on campus considering he's here, but he's a phenom. You don't see players like him. I've never seen a high school player with his talent, with his skill already. He's so smart as a big, and considering he's only played about 4 years of competitive basketball, for him to be this good, is crazy. But, his recruiting is going to explode. It already has. There's going to be more offers that come that way. So it's a little difficult to, talk with him and everything. There's still those translation issues and things like that. So, it's going to be kind of kept under the it's going to be kind of kept under a rock for a little bit longer, but we'll see it explode probably towards the senior year, considering where he's going to go and not.
And then let's just go back to the top targets, though. Asa Newell, the names that we've mentioned, Derrick Queen, Liam McNeely, all from now all at Montverde Academy. And with Indiana already having two guys in, if those two guys have great experiences, it's obviously they're going to pass that along to these guys and say, dude, it's great here. It's awesome. They take care of you. I've got NIL deals set up, yada, yada. Come here. We'll make our own deal. I could see that. It would be a little disappointing for some Indiana fans. I know that they just want to see Indiana win. That's all they care about. But not having that Indiana flavor in that does leave it missing a little something. I don't think fans want to see Indiana be Kentucky or Duke. They want to see Indiana be Indiana, which is what they were before, doing what they did, competing on that level, but mostly with Indiana kids. And I'm not saying that's how it has to be. Purdue is not going to win a national championship because they've got all those Indiana kids. It's not going to work. You have to get the best of the best, and I get that. I just think that there's a balance and a mix, and that's not going to happen for another couple of years, it looks like, probably.
I mean, probably not. And if you want to stick with, the 2024 class, I mean, it's not deep, in-state-wise. Flory's at the top. There's Jack Benner. There's Cannon Catchings, which those two already committed to Purdue. So, Painter's, he's still with his philosophy of, getting the best in-state talent. But other than that, there's a big drop-off. So, Indiana's pretty much forced to have to go out of state to get these guys and everything. And like I've said many times, Mike Woodson's not going to just recruit the state of Indiana. He's going to recruit the best talent in the nation. He's going to get guys that he feels is going to fit his system well. He's going to get some high-level guys. Whereas Archie Miller kind of struggled with that. He had the good idea of, the inside-out approach, but problem is he burned so many bridges that, he was forced to recruit in-state. And obviously what we saw, that obviously doesn't work a whole ton. But, Painter's made it work. He's got 2 out of the 3 best players in this class of 2024. If Indiana can grab Flory, in the next couple of years, that would be huge for them. I mean, he's the overall best player. Could make a case as the best player in the world right now. So we'll see with that. But, they've got that Montverde pipeline right now. And as you can see, they've got 3 top-tier guys that they're going to go after, and they've all got visits coming up.
So they got like 5 guys ranked in the top 100 that they are was that 4 rather? Well, yeah, because Jaden Mustafa is down in the second tier, number 42. Riley Burgess, Caleb Williams, guys like that Alec lists in the second tier. And then we move on to the third tier, which is just a litany of names, but it's headlined by Flory Badunga at the number 2 spot. Arius Bailey is number 5 ranked. Bryson Tucker, Dylan Harper, Yes Missy. Those guys are all in the top. Dink Pate. All those guys are in the top 20 of the rankings, and there's plenty more. Obviously, there's tons of teams recruiting all these guys. So, of that second tier, who are the really? There's only 3: Jaden Mustafa, Raleigh Burgess, Caleb Williams. Have they put much time in on those guys?
I would say they have. Towards the end of the summer, Jaden Mustafa became, a guy that they were watching quite a bit. Watching all the circuit games and things like that. So he was a guy that kind of came in towards the middle into the summer where they've kind of watched him. Raleigh Burgess has already been on campus, so he's a guy that they're looking at and everything. It's been kind of quiet a little bit. He actually went, I would say, probably a month ago. He was on campus for the camps that they were having and for a weekend. So he's kind of there. I mean, I've talked to him. He says Indiana's it's a good spot for him. He really likes it. He loves, just the culture of it. He loves the campus life, things like that. Caleb Williams, is another guy that they've looked at and everything. He's kind of newer in the scene or whatever. So we'll just see how that kind of grows with that. It's still, even though they're kind of in the 2024 class, it's still just a little bit early. You'll get them, kind of locked in on that once AAU starts next in the spring.
Let's see. And then we've talked about some of these third tier guys like Floyd Badunga already. I'm trying to look at anyone else that's even. None of these guys are even close. There's not an Indiana kid on there other than Flory. Anybody in that third tier that really kind of is poised to move up a little bit on Indiana's list? On Indiana's list.
Yeah, it would probably have to be Flory, considering what we saw yesterday for them to go 4 deep there to watch him. Even though Jalen Harrelson, he was a guy, they had a Fisher's NBA combine. There wasn't a coach there, which isn't a big deal. Obviously, they've seen him plenty of times and everything, but, they wanted to make it known, for them to all 4 be there that, hey, Flory's a guy that, we consider highly of. And we want to kind of continue to build that relationship with him. So it would have to be Flory. I mean, other than that, these other guys, they've offered, but, there's not much traction with them as of yet. I mean, they just offered that Tyler Betsy kid. I think Kenya Hunter saw him last week. But, those guys right now, they just have offers, and we'll just see if they can kind of continue to build the relationships with them. But right now, I would say Flory's probably that next guy that you could see getting into the second or first tier.
What do they do in this class, since they don't seem to really, they've got two more open scholars
in the 24 class? Not entirely for sure. They haven't had a commitment in the 24 class. So,
well, I meant for next year, you've got Gabe Cups and who's the other kid coming in? Ja'Kai Newton. I think, don't they have 2 more? I think they have 2 more Schollies available for that class.
I believe so. Yeah. And,
and we don't have an indication of who's going to fill those 2 spots. And it doesn't seem like they're, early on you had the, Arrington Page, they seemed like they were in on, and that seems now to have waned. Not that they're not in on him, but it seemed there's just been not a lot of information out of that camp since he went to his visit to Miami. Don't know where that is right now.
Yeah.
Any word on that?
Yeah. So Alec had mentioned, and I can let Alec talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, but he had mentioned that right now it looks like it's going to be Cincinnati and USC are in the top 2 for him. Indiana's
that's amazing to me. How is Cincinnati in the top 2?
It has to do with his teammate, his point guard teammate that he's played with for years. Played over the summer with him. Cincinnati and USC are recruiting both of them pretty hard. It's kind of a package deal. So that's just kind of where that stands right now. Indiana's at a distant third, but Indiana did everything that they could with Page. They really made him a priority and everything. And it's just kind of, they don't get him. It's just kind of, let's just wipe our hands, continue to go with the team that we have. Transfer portal is always an option. There could be a late bloomer. You've got the possibility of Derrick Queen reclassifying to the 2023 class. Obviously, that wouldn't take place till the spring. There's still options out there. It's not the end of the world. They still got 2 really good players for the 23 class, but they're going to have to really focus on finding a front court piece to fill that role once Trace and Race leave.
Mike Roberts, former Indiana coach at Cincinnati, on that staff. Just an FYI. And then USC, of course, poised to join the Big Ten in 24. So there would be some irony there. And I would damn sure go to LA. Hell, I'm like, hell, I'm all right. I'll go to LA. But yeah, the Indiana seemed to be so solid when they had those 3 visits back to back. And the air kind of slowly went out of the balloon, but 2 of those guys, of course, were tied to Maryland from where they lived. Smith and who was the other? I forget.
Jamie Kaiser.
Kaiser and Smith. Surprised that they did not get one of the 3 because they really seemed to be going after them. And it's to not get to have to use a transfer portal in this second year. That's got to be a little disappointing for the staff.
You could say so.
If they have to do that.
if they have to do that. But I mean, like I mentioned, like these guys, I mean, Mike Woodson and staff did an excellent job, making it competitive for these kids to, like Jamie Kaiser, for example, he wasn't on their radar until towards the end of the summer. They did such a good job with him. They got him on campus within a month after they offered, or it might have been Deshaun Harris-Smith. It was one of the two. But that just shows you, I mean, those guys were locked in to go to a certain school, and then Indiana swoops in, Mike Woodson swoops in, gives his kind of, his sales pitch or what he can bring, what those players could bring there. And for him to just make it competitive shows a lot. What this Indiana staff is doing. They're going to break through. They're going to get the big recruits. Like, I mean, they've already gotten Jalen Hood-Schifino, Malik Renew. Like, they've gotten those guys. Like, Mike Woodson's proven that he can go out and get some 5-star guys. So, 2023 class right now, it's a little bit disappointing, as far as they don't have a front court piece. But, I mean, there's still plenty of options there. If they have to go to the transfer portal, there's nothing wrong with that. You'll get an experience big out of that.
And it's going to be interesting to see this team this year. But they are going to have to, this season hasn't even started, so I hate talking about what they're going to have to do next year. But that's a fact. You're going to lose Trace and Race.
That's 2 big pieces.
That's 2 really big pieces. And Malik Reneau you'll have in the fold, but I'm sure they would much rather have had another piece in the fold this year playing under those guys and getting ready instead of having to bring in a freshman or, again, a transfer portal guy. But having a guy here already is better than the portal because he's here in your system, learns it next year, ready. That's the only loss. So I think that they would surely like to get that guy in this class to have him, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, and like people often forget too, there could be development in Logan Duncombe. He could be a guy that could step up and he could play some important minutes once Race and Trace are gone. Right now, I think if you look at it, you'd have Malik, you'd have Jordan Geronimo, and you would have Logan Duncan. So you really just need one more guy to kind of fill that rotation spot.
Well, I've not heard anything to that effect. Have you? And that's another thing. Has there been any growth by Logan Duncombe? And if not, what do you do there at this point?
I mean, right now, like with Logan Duncombe, he's just fallen in a really tough spot where he's got better players in front of him, and like we knew, like going.
And that's not good, but that's not going to change ever. Every year, that's not going to change.
Right. I mean, that's true. But, we knew when Logan was coming into Indiana, it was going to take a few years for him to develop. He just physically wasn't at that level, even though he is skilled. He can score pretty well. He was a top 100 recruit. People often forget with that. But, I mean, he's got to really develop. He's got to put strength on. He's got to put size, and he's got to be a little bit more physical in the Big Ten style of play. So he's just kind of a mystery right now. But, I mean, if he can show some, in his spot minutes that he plays, if he can show some promise in there, he could become a potential good piece. He's a solid big man, and I think he would excel given a right opportunity in the Big Ten.
Well, getting to practice against Race Thompson, getting to practice against Trace, getting to practice against Malik. He's been going against those other 2 guys for 2 years, so he should be ready to get out there and get with it. He's been lifting and with Cliff Marshall, so he should be ready to go. We'll certainly see if we don't see him this year. I'm not going to say wipe it off, but it's like, okay, man, is he just going to be one of those guys that doesn't turn on until the 4th year?
Could very well be. I mean, it's really just dependent. It's a mystery. I mean, if you have to really wrap it up, it's really a mystery. But like you just mentioned, he's only going to get better. He's playing against Trace and Race every day in practice, and Malik and Jordan Geronimo. So, I mean, you have no choice but to get better in that situation.
Gino jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline all the way from Gilbert, Arizona, as he gets up early out there. He's an early riser and an early loyal listener. Gino, we appreciate you. Buddy says, nice offer to Malik Thomas. Awesome skills. JHS supported it.
Yeah, they just extended an offer to him. He's a 2025 shooting guard, really lanky. From the clips I've watched of him just last night, he looks like he's a really good defender. A lot of on his clips was a lot of stealing fast break scores. So I need to do a little bit more research on him on my end and everything. But I mean, he looks super athletic, and he looks just like another athletic physical wing that Mike Woodson could really use in his system.
And so what's next for is the recruiting? How much longer do they have in this open period?
I'm not for sure. I don't know if it's the whole month of September or not. But right now, they're kind of just settling down. They're still looking at the 24s, 25s. Those are kind of the main targets right now. And then, of course, today we've got Big Ten media or Indiana men's basketball, women's basketball media day. So we're going to hear a lot from Woodson about this upcoming year. So we're going to see what he has to say with those.
What are you looking forward to that?
I'm looking forward to seeing. I want to know what players he projects is going to make a big jump this year from last year, and I would also like to know how Trey Galloway's recovery is going along. If he's going to be ready by the beginning of the season or not. So those are kind of the two main things I'm kind of looking for out of Woodson and the players.
Yeah, looking forward to that as well. Getting to meet with some of the new guys, which I've talked to them before, obviously before that, but meeting with the media, I guess, for the first time, a couple of the guys, and looking forward to that and just getting things underway. And then, of course, we'll have Big Ten Media Day coming up. That's October 10th and 11th, I believe. We'll be live from up there from Minneapolis, St. Paul, as we always are for you. But Kyler, what's up next, man? What can people look for at thehoosier.com?
Yeah, so obviously, like I just mentioned, we'll have, the media day today for the basketball team. So we'll have a ton of content on there. We'll have, Michael Woodson's presser uploaded. We'll have a ton of articles based off of that, So always go to our threads. We'll have live coverage there, live coverage on Twitter as well. So we'll have a ton of content coming up. And obviously, we still got a ton of football stuff going on right now. So.
Absolutely. And then, of course, Hoosier Hysteria is also not that far away, Pro Day, and there's just a ton coming up. So make sure you give Kyler Staley a follow on Twitter there at Kyler Staley, and go to thehoosier.com. And if you don't have a subscription there for the premium content, you should. It's only $8 a month. So support those who bring you the content. They can't do it without you. We appreciate you. Kyler, thank you, sir. Look forward to doing it again, man.
Thank you, guys.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah,
I'll see you. I'll see you later. Yeah. Kyler, brought to you by our good friends at Barbara Pop Real Estate Services down in Southern Indiana, Louisville, Floyd, Clark, Harrison, Scott, all those counties down there. They have served that community for 3 decades, and there is no one that can get you into the home you want better and quicker than Barbara Pop Real Estate Services. Reach out to Barbara at barbarapop.com or Matt Lincoln, Matt at barbarapop.com. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
All right, you'll have about a 10-minute segment here, and then we'll break again.
Really?
Yep, because you went a little long with Kyler, which is fine.
Okay. Okie dokie. Oh, man.
Excuse me. All right, here we go.
And that could be the difference in you getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back on this Thursday. First day of fall, and it is a good-looking one out there, and it's going to stay that way. Jim Coyle with you. Appreciate you joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at Feast Market and Cellar, part of the WOW Club. Of course, Feast Market and Cellar located right next door to Southern Stone on Patterson and Rogers, offering an extensive wine selection, gourmet entrees of various types, and a sommelier to help you with any and all pairings. So make sure you stop by there. It is incredible. I was by there last night on my way into Southern Stone. Also, I just noticed that the golf club at Eagle Point has got their latest anniversary or the membership offering out. This happened a couple of years ago, and it was wildly popular, and they're doing it again, this time a 2-year deal. It's only $299 for 2 years. That's a one-time payment of $299 for 2 years. That covers your green fees for 2 years. Yeah. You know, you've got to pay a cart fee. But, man, you can book a week in advance. Weekends and holidays, tee times are available after 10 a.m. That's a pretty damn good deal. It begins on October 6th, so it's not quite ready to go yet. But just for those of you that are, boy, you don't have to play very much at all to get your money back on that. Holy smokes. All right, so there's that. We'll keep that information coming to you. Steve, how you doing? Jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. Russ mentioning that the NCAA is announcing their findings against LSU today. That's kind of quick. That usually takes them 10 years to do anything. I can't believe they are able to, although that was a complete mess on, it looks like they're to meet today. I don't know if that's being, let's see. Well, the NCAA Division I Committee on Infractions expected to hand down its ruling on LSU. A member of the NCAA committee looking into alleged infractions regarding LSU is expected to make a ruling today. The news conference with Dave Roberts, chief hearing officer of the panel, special advisor, will be in attendance. And so we'll see how that goes. It's going to be interesting. A lot of things are going to be interesting. What are they going to do with Kansas? What are they going to do with Louisville? What are they going to do with these? What are they going to do with Kentucky? That just came out yesterday. Steve thinks that LSU is going to go down. Well, they should as much. Oh my gosh, as much as they had going on. But, you know, don't forget, we just talked about this yesterday with Kentucky getting caught paying players that weren't doing anything. But of course, no, nothing like that happens at Kentucky. They don't do that. So cheating is still going on. Amazing. And of all places, at a school that has a guy that has an NIL deal that is rumored to be close to $2 million in Oscar Sheboy. So this kind of funny, but that's what would you expect any different? That is how it's just been. I think that's just a way of life. And some people never changed that way of life. And because there's enough, it's easy to get away with a lot of that stuff. And they did for a long time until somebody got sick of it. But it will be interesting to see what happens with the NCAA and LSU. So they got a lot going on. It's not just it's basketball and football. And it's 2 football coaches. Les Miles. And then our boy Coach Ed Orgeron. Man, I think the NCAA ought to just leave us alone, man. We got enough going on down here at LSU. Robert says, what will they do with Kentucky, Kansas, just like UNC? Nothing, probably. But UNC was smart enough to get rid of the people that were involved in their academic fraud scandal. So once they got rid of those people, the NCAA could not compel them to testify. That's how North Carolina got away with that. Kansas, I don't expect. I mean, I don't think anything's going to happen to Bill Self. He goes through life. He's very liked. He's very, very liked as a person. I do know that. I know people that know him, and he is very different than, say, John Calipari. John Calipari is just a car salesman. From my understanding, Bill Self is a very well-liked guy. Very nice, very affable, very down to earth. Still cheated. So there's that. That is what it is. But we'll see. I just don't know. I don't know if the NCAA knows. Are they scared to do? Are they afraid now? Because their position has been so tenuous. Are they afraid to do things against these big time schools? I mean, you're looking at Kentucky now with a little. That's not going to turn into anything major. I promise you. It'll be a little slap on the wrist. But Kansas, Kentucky, Louisville, all, well, North Carolina. You can't count North Carolina because that deal's gone. Zion. He was paid while he was there, or he was paid to get there, whatever went down with him. We know that stuff happened. So, but will NIL change that? I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but we have seen schools like Maryland make great inroads, and beware Maryland, baby. They're coming. They are coming. They're on their way back, I think. Robert says they didn't have an issue with IU, did they? I'm not sure in what regard you mean. But yeah, Michigan or Maryland, Michigan State, great recruiting class for Tom Izzo again. It's the Big Ten is going to rise up. Not that they've fallen off, but I think they're going to become a little stronger. I think the SEC will start building a little bit. We've seen teams like Alabama, who have not traditionally been great basketball programs, come on. Bruce Pearl down at Auburn. Rick Barnes at Tennessee. So we've seen some of their teams get a little bit better. Self-reporting. Yeah, that's the stupidest mistake to ever make. That Dumb. Don't even want to get into that conversation. They should have never self-reported Jack. I guess that means it's time to take a break. John Boyd's giving me the fist. If you've ever watched Winning Time, you should. It's great. Chick Hearn, the fist. Much more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Chris Dinari is going to join us. DJ later on as well. You're listening to us from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, brought to you by Metalworks Brewing Company, part of the WOW Club. Make sure you go to your Apple App Store, Google Play Store, sign up, start earning WOW rewards today. Metalworks Brewing Company is the combination of a passion for beer, food, and custom metal art alongside a desire to be actively involved in the community. Make sure you stop by. They're on 6th Street, just caddy corner from a Cabello restaurant right off the square. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Hey, this is John the...
You know, Johnny boy, we need to get you to cut out segment outs.
What do you?
Because we've got.
What do you mean?
So many,
like for Metalworks. Yeah.
No, Metalworks. Barbara Pop,
all the ones that don't have ones. Yeah.
All the ones that they're different ends that are outs.
Yep.
Chris Denari, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. At least you ought to be as ecstatic since you don't call games for the Colts.
Oh my gosh.
Matt didn't even show up. Matt was so hurt he didn't even show up today. No, I'm kidding. He had stuff to do.
Yeah, it was stunning. I mean, how bad they were. Absolutely stunning.
But it has been. They've lost 8 straight times in Jacksonville. That's just one of those stats that I'm like, what are you kidding me?
Right. And to me, it was also, I mean, you're going to lose games. Now, you shouldn't, to me, lose to Jacksonville, but it's the way they lost. I mean, they were never in it. I mean, it was a weird game. Let me say that.
Oh, did you see the story about, I'm glad I didn't bring this up yet. Chase Buttinger?
I haven't seen it. Is volleyball or what?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a big-time volleyball player.
He
former Pacer.
Oh my God, he's playing. Oh, it's an NBA arena. I thought it was this one, but he's one of the top competitors in Pro Beach volleyball circuit.
Yeah.
On the what is it? The AVP.
Yeah.
On Friday, they play in the AVP Pro Beach Volleyball Championship. I had a lot of basketball friends that played volleyball.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got the length, baby.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of funny. Now, how long did he play?
He probably played. I'm going to Google him. I don't know if he played 10 years, but
10 seconds.
One season for the Pacers in 15-16, playing 49 games, averaged
Here we go.
4 points. Golf and dining experience.
I was going to say overall.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom
NBA.
Sports Grill in Bedford.
Probably 7-8 years.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Thursday, brought to you by the Courtroom Sports Grill down in Bedford. Great place to catch a game, lunch with friends, place to hang out. Joined now by Chris Denari from the Indiana Pacers. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm great. Just got back. Was in Jersey City the last 3 days for NBA broadcast meetings, our first in-person meeting since 2019. So It was really great to see, so many of my fellow broadcasters, some that I hadn't seen, in 2 or 3 years. Just saw them on television, but didn't see them live in person. So it was great. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, talked to us. Joe Dumars, the former Piston, the former front office executive, now is the head of NBA game operations. We talked about the game. Had a lot of, Monty McCutcheon heads the officials. And so learned about some of the new rules changes, some of the emphasis, all those kinds of things. So when that happens, Jim, you know that the season is close at hand. Later today, I'll be down at the practice facility. Kevin Pritchard, Chad Buchanan, and the whole front office meeting with members of the Indianapolis media. We'll do that today. Media day is Monday, and the first practice of training camp is Tuesday. So summer is over. It is ready to get back to work.
What time is media day Monday?
Media day, let's see, I got a press release on it. I think it starts at 10.
Boy, that's a good possibility. We may have to do the show up there Monday.
I'm trying to see.
Do they do it over at the practice facility? Or
yeah, they do it. They do it at the practice facility. It starts at 10 a.m. Media availability at 10 includes the coaches and the roster, and you have to RSVP. So I can forward you, who you need to contact.
Yeah, we'd love to come up and do the show from there. It'd be awesome. As the Pacers get ready for the season, a season they hope to improve upon last year, and a lot more excitement going into this season with a lot of new faces and a positive vibe going into the season.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I mean, it is a very young team in a very deep Eastern Conference. I mean, our message yesterday, and I firmly believe this, that there may be right now as much parity in the NBA and as many talented teams than we've seen in some time. There are going to be some teams in the East that don't make the playoffs that could be well over 500. So I think it's going to be an interesting year. You can never predict what's going to happen as far as injuries, those types of things. Teams that did a good job last year sometimes will take a step back the next year. But for the Pacers, I think it's all about building and growth. And I think it's, Jim, one of the things in my estimation, the fan base has embraced this because to some extent, they've asked for this to sort of have a reset. And they're doing it around some very talented young players that I think are going to be pivotal to this franchise over the next 3 to 5 years. So I'm really excited. I can't tell you what the wins and losses are going to be. I mean, if you look at what the national people think, the Pacers are well down the list. But I do think there's a solid plan. And, this franchise has been so proud for so long and been so very competitive. If you go back to the last 30 years, they rank in the top 5 in the Eastern Conference in Eastern Conference Finals appearances. It has not resulted in an NBA title, but they've always been there. But this was a situation that Chad Buchanan talked to the fan in Indianapolis yesterday, and I was able to listen to it in my hotel room. And he said, look, we just got to the point where we just weren't confident that the group we had put together could do what we wanted them to do. And we had to make a decision. We had ownership buy-in that we needed to do a little bit of a reset around a talented young group. And so that's what they're doing. And that's what I'm looking forward to this year.
Yeah, and it's like there's some youth on this team to invigorate it. Who are the veterans that you think are the guys that are going to be leaders on this team? Every team has to have them, and it seems like the Pacers. I'm not going to say they haven't had leadership on the floor, but you've wondered who is that guy or those guys.
I mean, I do think he's only going to be in his 3rd year, but Tyrese Halliburton is a guy who will take ownership of the team, but he'll have some help. And I do believe a guy like TJ McConnell, who may be the backup point guard, he's 30 years old, but he's been around the league. People look up to him in the locker room, and I think he'll have a solid voice in doing those things. They also just they signed James Johnson, who has been really all over the league. He's been with Miami. He's been with Brooklyn. He played for Rick Carlisle in Dallas. This is a 30-something veteran that I don't think they've brought in to play heavy minutes, but to be a sounding board in the locker room and to be a leader. That's what the Pacers did a number of years ago, if you remember, with Al Jefferson. They brought Al Jefferson in, and he was a tremendous locker room player. He didn't play all that much, but he was a huge sounding board for the young players. And he was key, I think, in the development of Miles Turner from a defensive standpoint. So I think those are the things that you're looking at. Leadership, to some extent, will be found during training camp. But I firmly believe that Tyrese Halliburton is more than willing to put that on his back and be the leader of this group.
And Buddy Hield, he's been in the league a while now. I don't know, it was 5. I don't know, 5,
he's
6 years,
been 6, 7, 8 years.
Wow.
He's nearly 30 years old. He's a guy that can shoot the ball. Has a great relationship with Halliburton. And you're right. I mean, he's a guy that's been around. The one thing he hasn't done and he desperately wants to do, and that's make the playoffs. Now, the Pacers are going to have a tough time doing that this year just because of the depth of the East and where people project him. But I firmly believe Buddy was really happy with the trade last year. He found sort of a new voice in his play in Indianapolis. And I think you're right. He will be a critical element to this team this year.
Jalen Smith, he had in his second season now with the Pacers. First one went pretty well, 13 points, 7 rebounds in 22 games, shooting over 50% and 33% from 3 with 6 double-doubles. So he's also someone that could offer a big help.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy, if we all remember, when he was acquired by Phoenix, they had not extended his contract to year 3. So he automatically became a free agent this past summer, and the Pacers were capped with what they could give him. And I think everybody across the league and everybody here in Indianapolis thought there was no way that the Pacers would be able to retain Jalen Smith. But Jalen Smith saw a future here.
I was going to say, this is more on him staying.
And he's betting on himself. And he believes that the Pacers gave him a great opportunity. He's a little bit different in how he approaches things. Rick Carlisle said he had a chance to go sit down with his parents, and they said, they weren't just looking at the big money right now. They think, there's some big money down the road for him, but he's also, a very loyal person. And so I thought that was a huge get for the Pacers. And I think he's going to be a really, really good player.
Well, it's not only a huge get from a talent standpoint, it's a huge get from a talent standpoint, plus a guy who wants to be there and wants to be a part of that organization, which has been not always the case with certain players in several years. Without mentioning names.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is you have a group of players that want to grow together within the organization. And let's be honest, as you look across sports now, whether it be the NFL or MLB or the NBA, you're really looking at 3 to 4 year windows, right? Because that's how you build a team. I mean, think about Golden State. They've won 4 championships, and they've done it with 3 guys that have been together the entire time: Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. And then they add pieces around those guys. But those 3 are the guys that were drafted by Golden State. They were not brought in free agency. They were drafted by Golden State, and they have been there. They've been loyal. Sure, they're paid well, but they are hungry to win championships. And I think that's what that's what the Pacers are trying to do. The model now, Jim, is if you look across the league, Memphis has built with youth. They drafted Ja Morant. They have Jaren Jackson Jr. They have Brandon Clark, who played at Gonzaga, and then they sprinkle veterans around them. Look at what Cleveland's doing. They just added Donovan Mitchell to a very young team: Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. So, in some regard, it's a copycat league, and you look across the league and see what's successful. And I think for the Pacers, they've done a heck of a job over the years of putting things together. In 2017-18, when they had a Thad Young and a Bojan Bogdanovic, they added Sabonis, they added Oladipo. They won 45 or 47 games and took Cleveland to 7 games in the first round. So there's many different ways you can do it, but I think right now this is the right way for the Pacers to do it.
Dabney asking, is Buddy Hield going to be here for the upcoming season?
Well, I mean, he's here right now. And here's the thing that Chad Buchanan said yesterday on his interview here in Indianapolis. He goes, look, our job is to listen. If teams call us, we have to listen to see if what they are offering can help make our team better. It doesn't mean we're out there peddling our players, but I'm sure they had people call them about Miles Turner and Buddy Hield and all that, but they didn't see anything that they thought would help their team. And they feel like these guys right now are best to be Indiana Pacers to help them on the floor.
Yeah, because that's what they're I hate to say that they expect to win this year, but they probably are not expecting to be at the NBA finals. They're building the team for next year, possibly the year after that. You don't just get to a championship game when you have a team that, like the Pacers, where you've had to start building. It just doesn't happen overnight. So if an offer comes, like you just said, if they can get another piece that next year makes this team better, they would be dumb not to do it. Of course they're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's your job. And I thought Chad did a really good job speaking about Miles in particular, because Miles is the longest tenured Pacer. And we all know what the Pacers were trying to do with DeAndre Ayton. How does that affect Miles Turner? But Miles is a pro. Miles understands it's a business, right? But at the same time, the Pacers have great faith in wanting to see what Miles can do with Tyrese Halliburton and Jalen Smith. Remember, when they made that trade at the All-Star, roughly around the All-Star break, Miles had already been designated as basically out for the year. So he's never played with this new group. And so I think that's going to be the fascinating thing to watch in training camp, in the preseason, and when the season starts in mid-October.
I saw a great piece, I think, that is in the Star today. Is that by Dana? Dana Hunsinger Benbow, on ex-Pacers player, an NBA player, Chad Budinger, who played 7-8 years in the NBA, played with the Pacers for 1 year, but he is one of the top men's volleyball players in the AVP Pro Beach Volleyball League, and he is playing in the championship this weekend.
Yeah, he's played at Arizona. He's a West Coast kid, so I'm sure he played a lot of volleyball while he played basketball when he was growing up. But he has really become an outstanding volleyball player. I mean, we think back what Karch Karai and all those guys during the Olympics and those types of things, and even at the college level, Jim, they have beach volleyball, right? I think the NCAA has a beach volleyball championship. So he was a really neat guy to be around. He was only around the Pacers, like you said, for about a year. I think he played 7 or 8 years in the NBA. So it is cool to see somebody like that do something a little bit different.
Yeah, very cool to see that. What's up next for you, man?
Well, just getting ready for the year. I mean, once Monday comes, it really begins everything with media day and training camp. I'll be at practice. It's the great thing what the Pacers have done. I'm getting ready to start my 17th year, and we're able to go to every practice, sit there for the entirety, go to all the shoot-arounds. There are a lot of broadcasters that don't get that opportunity with other teams. So it's great that we're able to do that. It enables us to be around the players, be around the coaches, and looking forward to that starting next week.
Cannot wait, brother. Yeah, if you don't mind sending me that information, appreciate it. Look forward to it. Chris Dinari joining us here. Cannot thank you enough, brother. Have a great weekend and a good time on Monday.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, Chris Denari from the Indiana Pacers, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Cabello Restaurant, a part of the WOW Network, of course. Cabello, located on the square in Bloomington, in the heart of downtown. Visit Cabello to experience the tastes and traditions of the Italian heritage right here in Southern Indiana. And join the WOW Network, WOW Club, and add to your WOW points. We've got DJ coming up next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, back right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're a business...
Morning, DJ.
Good morning, John. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good. It's a beautiful day down here in Southwest Florida, sitting out here on my patio trying to enjoy the weather. And it seems like every time I come out here, I always come right out here when the people who do the landscaping.
It's beautiful up here too. Yesterday it was 95 degrees, but for the next week it's going to be in the 70s every day, which is great.
Well, yeah, that's pretty typical, I guess, for Bloomington this time of the year, especially when you get around September, getting into October, start to cool off a little bit.
I know, it's about time. I'm sick of the heat.
That 95 degree yesterday was a bitch. Let me tell you, it was rough. How are you doing, brother?
Good, Jim, man. I was just telling John, man, I see every time I come out here on my patio just to try to enjoy a little bit of sunlight and look at the palm trees and the blue skies, and it seems like the landscaping people always catch me at the right at the time.
We can't hear them, man. So that's good.
Yeah, man. So how about man, I know there's a lot of football going on, but I tell you, man, I am so hurt by my Dallas Cowboys, man. I you know what? Every year, man, Stephen A. He did it. He put everything in perspective. He was like, man, you guys, I don't know what it is with that, man. He gets.
Did they pull it out against Cincinnati though? They beat the Bengals, didn't they?
Yeah, barely.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You don't in NFL. You don't survive by winning games barely.
It's a Super Bowl team though.
Yeah, but hey, the roster changes, man, from year to year. This year you have a Super Bowl team. Next year you could have a team that don't even that have a winner's record, man. It just depends.
It is crazy how, at least in my lifetime, the Cowboys haven't been worth hardly anything.
Well, I beg to differ on that a little bit, simply because, man, we've gone to a few Super Bowls. I think we've got 4 or 5. But
I'm only 25 years old.
Well, yeah. See, for you, man, I'm talking about the time, man. You got Aikman, you got Emmitt Smith, you got my man Prime Time, you got Michael Irvin. You got all these ballers, man, and that will win the Super Bowls almost back to back, man.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said, at least since I've, been old enough to watch and pay attention to NFL football.
Exactly. Interesting weekend this weekend, though, with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady meeting up. Interesting weekend.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you on this Thursday. That means it's almost Friday. DJ's with us. How are you, sir?
Good, Jim. How are you, man? How are things up in B-Town?
Well, it's a lot better than it was yesterday. I can tell you that, Derrick. It was hotter than Hades yesterday, and I thought I was going to melt. As John was talking about in the break. My God, it was so hot. But we don't have to worry about that anymore. Dabney says, DJ, just be glad he was talking about the bemoaning his Cowboys in the break, and Dabney says, DJ, just be glad you're not a Colts fan. It's brutal right now, and that is not lying. Wow. Come on, Jacksonville? Again, eight straight losses at Jacksonville.
Well, that just goes to show, man, when it comes to football, things change from week to week, and that's why, teams have to take each game as a new season. You can't just assume that, hey, we did great last week, we're going to do great this week, or this team over here, their record and, their history, they're not that great of a team, and we're whatever. And think that it's going to work out that way. So,
looking forward to this week now. Boy, Indiana 3-0, wins over Illinois, Idaho, Western Kentucky, all in, I guess you'd call exciting fashion. It gets ratcheted up this week, baby. They go on the road, and they go on the road to a team that can be good. They should have beat Arkansas. They beat themselves, I think, but they're going to be at home in a little bandbox arena that's going to be loud. This is going to be a difficult challenge for Indiana.
Well, I mean, history since my playing days. I mean, the non-con schedule always, starts us off on a good foot. But I tell you what, right now, man, I remain cautiously optimistic. Yes, we're 3-0, and that's a great thing. But we have to look at it like we're 0-0. I mean, the season, if you ask me, for all intents and purposes, this is where the season starts at right now. Here's where we start. And I think Western Kentucky showed the vulnerability of Indiana's defense. I'm going to tell you that.
No question. Well, the second half, in the first half, Indiana held them to 33 yards rushing, but the second half they give up, I don't know how many it was, but it was 100 plus. Big chunk yardage, 59-yard run, a 29-yard run, and another. There's too many chunk plays, but they were able to pull that game out by the skin of their teeth. They're playing up against a much more talented opponent. This team has 85% of their players back from a team that was in the college football playoffs. Right. So you're playing against a tough opponent here, and you have got to get your stuff together. They've got the running game bothers me in the red zone. They can get away with it in the yardages between those. You can do a lot of things to get around that. But when you get down to the red zone, man, you've got to be able to run the ball. And that's the place that scares me for the Hoosiers.
Well, that too. And then, I'm a defensive guy, but I hear what you're saying. And you're right. What was concerning to me was when West Kentucky's offense were in quads. And here you got a tight end streaking down the middle. You had a linebacker let that tight end cross his face. You don't let a tight end cross your face without putting some hands on him. He goes up into the flat. The corner jumps the tight end from way out here in Neverland. That's a break. We can't have those kind of breakdowns against the Cincinnati, man.
Tennis half 11 says one game at a time. Only thing that changes is the quality of the opponent. 85% of the people who didn't score points against IU. Well, there is truth to that. But, I watched them in that Arkansas game, and it was their first game, so I'm not sure that they were ready. But they're well coached. You've got Luke Fickell there, who has done a great job building that program up. Who would have thought if someone would have come to me 3 years ago and said, all right, I'll bet you $1,000 against 100 that Cincinnati is in the college football playoffs 3 years from now, I'd have taken that bet and lost my butt. But he got him there. And so there is no reason for me not to think he's going to have them ready for this game, because they were able to get by the first games. They've got to play. They're going to have to play in this game to win as well, although they are a 17-point favorite, DJ.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, man, that just shows, I mean, I hear what you're saying about the first half of last week's game, but that just shows you the defensive analysis of our football team. And from the offensive standpoint, I mean, like you said, when we get in the red zone, when we get on their side of the field, we've got to capitalize, man. I mean, let's face it. We went into overtime with Western Kentucky. Okay? It's a win. But, if we're going to win in the Big Ten, if we're going to win the games, all games count. But if we're going to win, we're going to win games that are the deciding factor. We can't be going, in overtime with the Western Kentucky.
No, or all these games have come down to the end. But the one thing that does give them a positive is if they're in that situation against a much better opponent, then they have the confidence now for the rest of the year that if the game is close and they have the ball, that they still have a shot. And that's a big thing to have. And I'll tell you, having been around Connor Bazelak, the dude he's got a resting heart rate of like 20, man. He's a cool cat. And I mean that by he's just a calm dude. And I will promise you, I bet you that's he's a guy that in the whole that will calm everybody else down. Right. And I think that's one of the reasons why they've been able to do those things that they've had to do, scoring late. And so that is a great benefit for them. And 12 different receivers catching a ball last week, DJ.
Yeah, he does a tremendous job of spreading the ball around. And we don't have we got DJ Matthews and things like that. We don't have that one receiver. We don't have that Julio Jones or that Chris Olave like Ohio State had, or Garrett Wilson, that we can just focus. Those are the main guys, like a Mike Evans with Tampa Bay or somebody like that. So we've got to spread the love. And if we're going to win with the team that we have to be able to count on multiple players to make plays. You can't just count on one or two players to make plays and think we're going to win ball games like that, man.
Nope. But it starts this week. What are they going to have to do different besides the running game? Obviously defensively, they weren't tackling well. One of the things they aren't doing now, DJ, is they're not tackling live in practice. They don't take guys to the ground.
Right.
And I wonder if that is hurting, helping. I don't know if it's hurting them or not.
Well, here again, I'm an old school football guy, and we when I played, we had a lot of contact in practice, and in a sport like football, it's a violent sport. We know it. Now, you don't want to go out there and practice, and you don't want to just start knocking heads because you need your players for the game. But we need a live tackling day, to maintain our consistency. And you were asking, you were alluding to the fact of what they're going to have to do this week. This week, man, we're going to have to be consistent. Like you said, man, we're going to have to, stalwart teams in the beginning, but then we can't go back to second half and give up chunks of yards like that. You see what I'm saying? We've got to be consistent, man. We've got to be. And I don't know why. I mean, that's just Coach Allen's thing, maybe no live tackling, but we're not injury prone. I don't see, where we've lost a lot of players to injury. So we need to get back to the basics, man. And this is a violent sport, and that's just the way it is, man.
Another good thing that Indiana, they have not made a ton of mistakes, killer mistakes this year.
Right.
I have seen Cincinnati do that. And then last week, I think they were dropping passes. So you can only hope that they're still not quite there. But they've got the talent, and we're going to find out. Because if Indiana could win this game, they have a very, very good chance of going 5-0, because the following game is at Nebraska, a team that is on the ropes right now. And even if they go 4-1, Indiana fans should be very, very happy, because it was to be 4-1 after that first five-game stretch would be not as good as 5-0, obviously, but pretty damn good.
Hey, listen, man. Any game that you win, I would take the win. But I'm gonna tell you something right now. Where the program, the state of the program is right now. That's great. We can go out and we can beat Cincinnati, West Kentucky. Listen, man. It all comes down to the Big Two, and you know who they are, man. Okay, that's where we got to win football games at this year. We got to do that now. Yep, that's what it all boils down to, man.
Absolutely. What's up next for you, man? When you heading up to
2 weeks? I'm coming for the homecoming, man.
Oh, Bloom! Everybody's coming in for that Michigan game.
Hey, man. Hey, listen. If you're a football fan, first of all, if you're an Indiana fan, okay, you know how important this game is. But I won't speak too much on that right now because we got to focus on Cincy. But listen, man, it's an exciting time coming up. Two road games, and then we're back home.
Dude, that whole weekend, the day before is Hoosier Hysteria.
Oh, I know, man. Oh, I know. I'll be at the spot that we were last year eating wings. I'll be right there.
So are you coming to Hoosier Hysteria as well? So we got all kinds of stuff going on.
Absolutely.
When you're coming in, Dustin Schutte will be in as well. So yeah, it's going to be a gigantic weekend, man.
Gigantic weekend. Tailgating and everything, brother.
We'll be, we'll have Oh yeah, you can come to BB's. We'll do our show from BB's and join us and have some great food in the morning. Oh, that's no better way to start the day. Oh man, that's going to be a fun day. Holy cow. I'm getting excited about it.
Itinerary, man. As soon as I get my itinerary together, I'm gonna shoot it to you. I'll email it.
It'll be fun. Well, I look forward to it, man. Look forward to you joining us at BB's that day as well. And we'll start thinking of some food items we'll have to cook up for you.
Yeah, I want some whatever you. I'm not gonna let you get away with this right here, Jim. Whatever you cooked that last time, when you were in that, I think you were in a grocery store or something. I want some of that.
BB's Market. We're there every Friday.
All right.
It's incredible, man. It's awesome. Well, brother, you have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Good, man. Let's go Hoosiers, man.
Derrick Jackson joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Appreciate him as always. Brought to you by our good friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry. You need that championship smile, and Dr. J can get it done for you down in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry takes care of me and a lot of other IU fans in that area. In addition to Bubba's 33, right off of I-65 there, a great place to catch a game. They've got 51 TVs in there down in Clarksville, and their food is made fresh daily, and it is awesome as well. Been there many, many times, and loved going there on Friday afternoons. Missed my Friday afternoons with Roger Reynolds. Hope everybody else is having a good day. What are your Friday plans? People, if you're local, come on out to BB's tomorrow and join us. Absolutely. We'll be out there with Chef JD cooking up some I have no idea what he always surprises me, man. And it is always a good surprise. Let me tell you, last week though, he started me off with that biscuits and gravy, and I'm like, okay, this is a meal. Can't do that anymore. I want to taste all this stuff. But I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to get cooked up for us from a tailgate standpoint. And like I said, always, you got any ideas, send them in. We love Dr. J. Area is superstar Dr. J, man. He is not the original Dr. J, of course. Not to be confused with Julius Erving. Just kidding. But does a tremendous job and cannot thank them enough. Looking forward to seeing them again, of course. Tanis Half 11 agrees that it would be disheartening to see. I guess I missed a message here. Let's go back to those although we're almost out of time, aren't we? No, not quite. Tana says it's better to have your main guys, but have them all coached up to the point where this isn't much of a drop-off. Tana says he will bail on the rest of the fan base before he bails on Coach Allen and the IU team. He's all in, so good for him. Dabney says he's so tempted to take that 16.5, 60, since he spread. Vegas putting no faith in the Hoosiers. It's actually at 17 now, Dabney. So, yeah, that's a lot of points to give. I haven't seen Cincinnati's defense be that good. I know Indiana's offense has not looked like, a juggernaut, but they can score the damn ball. Trust me. If they get that passing game going early, they can score. 17 points, that's a lot to give up. So Tana says he agrees that would be disheartening to see, but he thinks they can improve on all aspects as the year goes on. Robert says they have a lot of season left. Steve Prather has got at least $1 bill on the Hoosiers. FanDuel still at 16.5. It's just crazy, though. Was shocked to see how it jumped up, but someone put a bunch of money on Cincinnati. So we'll see how that goes. Looking forward to that. Of course, I leave here and head out to Indiana Basketball Media Day today. Looking forward to that. Ross says may have to come up Thursday so he can join us at BB's Breakfast Friday with me. Absolutely. He's bringing his daughter up for the weekend. Why would you not come by, Ross? If you don't come by, I'll be so disappointed. I'll have the Indiana Sports Beat visors out there as well. I'll tell you what, you show up, I'm going to feed you and give you a visor. So come on out to BB's and join us. It's become just a fun time. Wish I had more time there a lot of times, but looking forward to it. We'll get all the information from today's Indiana Basketball Media Day, and we're going to have content for a while after that. So we'll be meeting with those guys and have it all up today and throughout the next week or so. Hey, don't forget, we're back tomorrow to do it all again. Alec Lassie joins us, talks some IU basketball, and the Red Zone, of course, with Mitchell Page and Jeffrey the Greek, Zach Osterman as well. Big thanks to Jeffrey or to John, the producer, to Kyler Staley, Chris Denari, and Derrick Jackson. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, we've got no reason to be here, and we appreciate you more than you know. Looking forward to it. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.